Oh, thanks very much, Lisa, and good to welcome you all here. Um, I don't know. So, what the learning objectives today is we're going to learn a little bit of the history of the men's sheds, and we're going to hear about what are men's sheds and determine how men's shed might be of interest to you and or your loved ones. So men's sheds. Men's sheds. I'm from the BC Men's Shed Association, and as I've put here, there's a number of men's sheds in Canada. There's a men's shed Canada, and there's a number from around the world. So we'll learn a little bit about that. So I'll just do a brief history of the men's sheds. The first men's shed was started in 1993 in Australia by a woman who had experience in aging services and her own father's depression following his retirement. So that kind of started the ball rolling. And a few years later, the Australian Men's Shed Association was formed. And a few years after that, it was established in Ireland and Canada in 2011. And from there, it followed into the New Zealand, Scotland, USA, and others. And there is an international men's shed association that's been established to promote men's sheds and connect people with country associations. Now, the history of men's shed in Canada, as I mentioned, the first Canadian men's shed was launched in Winnipeg in 2011. In this area, Coquitlam's Men's Shed launched in May of 2015 with some others in BC, also around that time. And I'm part of the Coquitlam Men's Shed as well as part of a few others. And we had our 10th anniversary barbecue recently. It was attended by a lot of people that had visited the sheds and so on. So it was good to have a group back. About 160 people attended, including Coquitlam Mayor and some dignitaries. So the Men's Shed Association in BC is really ramping up. And other provincial men's sheds were in BC and BC and Manitoba. And the first men's shed conference was held in Squamish, BC in 2021, followed by a conference in Alberta. Now, along with funding support from Anonymous Trust, United Way BC, and the BC Ministry of Health, these conferences help promote the men's shed movement and establishment of Men's Shed Canada. So what isn't a men's shed? A men's shed a men's shed. Tim Hortons isn't a men's shed, nor is a meeting room. A park bench isn't a men's shed. A shed isn't a men's shed, nor is a workshop or a barn. However, a men's shed is culture. It's a mindset, it's an attitude, a way to make friends, a way to help ourselves and others. It's a journey. It's a place where we as men belong. So, what is a men's shed? Men who gather to learn new skills, discover new interests, men who gather just to sit around, chat, and have a coffee. It's symbolic of the backyard shed where men chat and work on projects. It's men communicating shoulder to shoulder. Members cross age, culture, and socioeconomic status, and no two sheds are alike. It's a welcoming environment where men create shared experiences and build a community. Advances health and well-being for men in their retirement years. The men's shed goes beyond hobbies and crafts. And as I mentioned, it's about advancing health and well-being for men. In our sheds, you find a safe and supportive space to talk, listen, and connect, which has profound effects on mental and emotional health. This grassroots movement has grown from its Australian origins to touch the lives of men across the globe. Men's mental health. The reality is, men's sheds help address pressing issues of social isolation, loneliness, and depression in older men. There is usually little or no support for men. There's a desire for change, but the caring profession is quite overwhelmed, as we all know. Now, at a shed, there is no therapist, but there is friendship, camaraderie, a purpose, meaning, conversation, networking, productivity, dignity, and teamwork. Respect is one of the very highest regarded things that we like to have in the men's shed. It's a welcoming, safe, tolerant, helpful, and low pressure environment. It's where we share experiences, share the responsibility for our own and other projects if we want, and no skill required. Some will teach and some will learn. There's a low barrier to entry into the men's shed. Community building projects are a natural outcome of an established men's shed where they make friends, hang out, swap stories, and make friends in a safe and friendly environment. Men's sheds, not always, but usually are about woodworking. So we usually have the tools, equipment, and shared knowledge to make our personal projects happen. And there's participation. You can bring your time and skills as we take on a variety of worthwhile community projects. What will your project be, either for yourself or to help others? Quite a few community projects here. You'll see one person here helping another build a little library. You'll see a pyramid library that a couple of people have built. People are cleaning up an environmental area. Bandsaw boxes down in the left corner. They're a favorite for a lot of people in men's sheds. And then, of course, there are some help into the community. We can work with them, and we can build benches for memorials or other. So while men's sheds draw primarily older men, we are inclusive and welcoming to men of all ages. You'll see a number of examples here of men being together, hanging out, even looking after the puppy that comes by. Now, can a woman start a men's shed? Many BC sheds were initiated by and are supported by women. Women understand the need, or they are suffering from husband underfoot syndrome, so to speak. There are some she sheds, but usually they are separate, as women and men both need different things. So there's a number of resources available. There's Find a Shed in your area through Men's Shed Canada, the BC Men's Shed Association on the website. An example of the BC Men's Shed. Oh, I guess the links aren't live here, so 1 minute. Okay. And then there are a number of men's sheds videos. So I was just going to run through a couple of those. They're about 1 or 2 minutes each, and they'll give you a bit of an indication too of men's sheds. Are you able to click those? I don't have a live link. No, Lisa?
From day one, I was always
Yeah, I
talking
am.
about friendships first. And every time we would have a
Do you
meeting,
want to
I
play
would
each of the
always say that the
videos?
important.
So I don't, sorry,
Do you want me to open all of the links or
just the one link, but there is a bit of a video too.
yeah, so which one would you like for me to play and
Just
share?
well, we can do the first one.
From day one, I was always talking about friendships first. And every time we would have a meeting, I would always say that the importance of the meeting or the importance of whatever we do here is about friendship. It's not about the tools, it's not about the projects. And once those relationships get built, that's where you're in a place where you're feeling safe, and then you become brave to be able to talk about it with somebody else. And it's the talking is where the real healing happens. It's not in the listening sometimes, it's just in being able to be in a space where you feel like you can talk to somebody else. What our men's shed provides is a space where they can feel brave enough to start to have real and authentic conversations. We're holding a space for them to just be real. When they can start to be real here, they can start to be real at home.
Can you also do the one that says Sam and then after that Chris, please?
Like the main thing about mental health is like there's a lot of health professionals and that, and they'll give you pills and that. But from what I found is the most important thing is to have a sense of community. Pretty much everyone here has been through something, and like they know life gets tough sometimes. You just need a place to go, just to, you know, you don't even have to talk about your problems, just a place to sit and process while you drink coffee and listen to other guys talk about stuff or whatever. Like, I feel like I belong here. It's finding a place to go and to have community is done. It's done everything I wanted the pills to do that they never did. It's been very good for me.
And then the one from Chris.
Okay.
We grew up in a generation where strength was everything. And, you know, when you move into the workplace, you want to be strong all the time because you're competing against other people. And I think it just reinforces itself over and over and over again. And it's time for that kind of to stop, because you can't sustain that anymore. I think the reason I want to get involved with the men's shed was it was different from anything that I've experienced in my work life. In my work life, it was very demanding, very judgmental. Everything was results oriented. With a men's shed, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if something's not done this day, or if it's not done tomorrow, or if it's not done for 2 weeks. It's c'est la vie. We grew up in a generation where
Thank you. So there is a 12-minute video, but those were some of the excerpts from it. The 12-minute video I won't run now, but it is available on YouTube. So That's what I have, and I just wondered if there's any questions or anything I can clarify, or if you need more information.
I have a Donna in the chat. Can we move back to the slide on funding? Just she asked to see that again.
Uh, Funding? I don't.
I think this one here.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Any particular questions at all, or?
Yeah. Go ahead, Dorothy. Just feel free to unmute yourself and jump in.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Curtis, for this amazing presentation. I've never heard about MenShed before. I'm actually tuning in from Ontario.
Oh,
I
excellent.
Yeah, I saw this come through my email and it was just too interesting. So I'm in the middle of my workday, but I wanted to tune in. I took a quick look at the website and there's only one men's shed in Ontario, it looks like, or a few, but I'm in the GTA area, the Greater Toronto area, and
Right.
the closest one is about like 45 minutes or even an hour out, depending on traffic. So I'm curious, like, how do you find like a location or a space for the men to meet? How has that been like?
So it really the whole part of the men's shed is a few people that get together. Um, they maybe find out about men's shed, like for example, you are through a presentation, or for me, I was looking a couple of years ago what to do in retirement, and I just Googled retirement, and up popped something about men's shed. So at the time, I went online and I found one in Port Moody. I found one in Coquitlam. And at the time, I phoned somebody, I emailed them, and the websites weren't that great. And this is 2 or 3 years ago. Since then, a lot of the websites have been improved, so better communication. But at the time, I left a message, and someone got back to me, and eventually we connected. So that's with an established men's shed. Um, but so as people find out about men's sheds, and if there's not one in their area, then they would look online, and in BC, we would they would contact BC Men's Shed, and then we have resources that we can help them through starting up a men's shed. I'm not familiar too much with Ontario, but if we go to another slide here, just let me look and see. If we go to the one back, if someone can go, oh, or is it me? Oh, it's me. Um, so if you go to Men's Shed Canada, on the right-hand side, I just took a snippet of locations that the Men's Shed Canada website has in this area. So if you go to the Men's Shed Canada website and you go to Ontario, you'll be able to find locations of Men's Shed there. I'm not sure if that answers your question or not.
No, that's great. I'm just wondering, like, and I could imagine you're probably like maybe someone's home or like some kind of community space.
So some of the men's sheds, they start out. I mentioned a men's shed isn't Tim Hortons, but a lot of people meet and they go to Tim Hortons and then they become a shed because they don't have a space yet. And that's
Hmm.
some of the sheds that ramped up have been started at someone's place. Um, there's a shed that was meeting 3 or 4 years, for example, with in going to Tim Hortons, and finally they connected with the mayor, and the mayor found them a spot, and it was in that case it was free. So we're fortunate in some areas. Some areas are able to find something with a minimal amount of monthly payments, but there's a lot of different ways to find a place. So I think uh, I think if people are interested in Men's Shed, then they can, in Ontario, get a hold of the Ontario Association and they can help them. What is the next step?
That sounds good.
Sorry to interrupt. I didn't bring that with, I don't have it with me, but we do have, as I said, um, some tools that we can give you to look further. If you want to, if you were here and you wanted to contact BC Men's Shed.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
I guess Ken now is available with the hand up. Hi, Ken.
Hi. I'm actually part of a men's shed in Abbotsford, BC.
Awesome.
Started in March. And the way we found out about it was that it was a Facebook group message that came out from BC Men's Shed. And they suggested an introductory meeting where we saw that impact video. It was in Mission, and three of us showed up, and we were all from Abbotsford. So we decided to make it in Abbotsford instead.
Right.
And we have about 8 or 9 guys involved in the moment, and we have 2 of them who have their own workshops. So we have an agreement with them that we can use their workshop. So sometimes the men come with their own place. So,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you, Ken. I was at that Mission startup meeting, so I
You
remember
are
you
okay.
being there. And then Mike Jennings is also on the call. That he was the one that presented. So
Right.
thank you very
Yeah.
much for that.
Yeah. Great.
Any other feedback or anything else from the chat?
There isn't. But I would just, like to add, from my perspective, working for the BC Centre for Palliative Care, what we've seen with the Men's Shed movement, it's a growing movement, particularly in BC, but we are seeing the importance of this type of community action, community group to provide support for men, particularly men that may be grieving a loss. Either they have a spouse that's ill or has passed away. So these types of groups where men are really making an impact within community. I know I received an email from an Ashcroft men's shed being started up in Ashcroft in BC just recently. So it's a growing community-based movement, and we know with respect to when we talk about social prescribing, about individuals meeting with perhaps a physician or a community health provider, and these individuals make referrals back into the community to provide support for individuals. So the Men's Shed is a really big burgeoning part of this movement about providing community support for the betterment of health and welfare for men. So I'm really thankful that you're here to talk about your work.
I think too, if people have a chance, they should, and they're interested more, the 12-minute video that I had a link up through the YouTube. You should be able to find it through Men's Shed Canada Impact Video, it's called, or on YouTube. It's very good and gives you more of more information that's quite interesting. I didn't know how much time we had here, so that I didn't want to put up a 12-minute video.
We still have about 25 minutes left in this session.
Cool. I see another someone from Kamloops trying to connect with Coquitlam, Kamloops Men's Sheds.
Hi, can you hear me? My name is Carol.
Hi, Carol.
I'm
Yes,
with-
I can. Yeah,
I'm with Kamloops Hospice,
right.
and I've been trying to reach out to the men's shed here in Kamloops, and I wondered, because I haven't had much success connecting with them.
Okay.
I kind of thought they might have been in transition, moving locations. Have you had any contact with them? Do you know how?
Go ahead.
Do you know if they're fully up and running now? Because I think it's fairly new.
I haven't got my hand on some of the men's sheds in BC. I guess we could take your contact information offline or something, or whoever we can do that here. and we can find out more and send you some information. Or you could send the request to our president. Just let me get his email here. Just 1 minute, if I may. I can post his, if that's allowed. I can post his. Um,
Sure, and I can share. I'm with Kamloops Hospice. I don't
right.
think there's anything confidential in me sharing.
No, but I'm just going to put Jan. Let's see, Jan Fenema. So here's our president, and he's more in tune with some of the connections um, in Kamloops and above. So I posted that. You could email him.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
I had did during the pandemic, I had did a workshop with some men who are grieving the death of their spouse,
right.
and we did planter boxes. Then we filled them with flowers and we auctioned them off.
Right.
But I really needed a place and a better environment for some of them to do that. And I wondered if the men's shed would entertain that as a concept of, because I deal with men who were very lonely. Their spouses died and
Right.
they're kind of feeling lost. They might have been looking after their spouse for a very long time and they've lost those connections
Yes.
because they were confined to home. And so it sounds like this would be a great fit for some of my men, the men's shed, um, just to start building those connections back with a little project in mind. So that's what started me trying to contact the men's shed here in Kamloops. It's just I hadn't had a response back, and I thought maybe they've been in transition or maybe they're just getting going.
Right.
So thank
Um,
you for the email. I will touch base,
okay.
but I wondered if that would be something a men's shed would entertain the idea of doing.
Oh, that is absolutely what we do, and what's been happening with a lot of the men's sheds here. Oops. So we uh, there's been a number of uh, there's been a few deaths over the years, and we've helped to get involved, similar to that. Recently, though, we're also helping with like Coquitlam Men's Shed, for example, is helping a school do 250 fish so that they can use in a project. The Port Moody Shed usually does helps with the Cub cars every year. And those are the ones I know about.
Oh, wow.
And maybe Ken, I don't know if you've got involved with some projects yet, but there's a lot of stuff like that that's perfect for what you're describing. So that would be a good. Um, I mean, I can put my information in the chat as well, and you can contact me, and I can get you some more information. Um, I just want to point out too that on the screen, this bcmensshed.ca. If you go there, there's some other videos as to how the men's shed can help and exactly what you're describing.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Okay, so we have a question from Donna in the chat. So she's in her community. She often sees situations where men or people in general don't get along and avoid joining groups because they want to avoid someone they dislike or disdain. I could see this being a barrier to someone who really needs to be connected. Do you have any thoughts on addressing this sort of problem?
So they don't get along with particular people in the place, or just um,
Yeah, it's just, she's saying she sees situations where men don't get along and avoid joining groups.
right, right.
So,
Um, Well, I'm not a therapist, so I don't know if that needs a therapist's answer, but I know that the sheds I belong to, the top requirement is respect. And so usually there's people there that um, they kind of just with because of their nature, they kind of monitor people and see if there's any of this lack of respect happening. Um, and they help to discourage the lack of respect and then encourage the respect. And also, we're trying to get everybody talking. A lot of times our meetings are pretty informal. We're standing up or we're sitting down having a coffee. We're chatting about things, and if we see somebody not participating, at least in my case, I would say, well, what about you, George? What's happening in your life, or is there anything that you want to talk about? And a lot of times people will just, by the nature of the conversations, pair off. And so that's where a lot of the discussion comes in. So there have been some people that, haven't really wanted to connect. In a lot of cases, we can do that, but in some cases, doesn't work. So we're hoping, in the majority of cases, we do see success. But it's really just a bunch of guys hanging out, and then the more you get used to each other, the more you want to participate, uh, and then you move forward from there. So it's a really good um, uh, place to move forward with some of the issues and some of those short videos too. I mean, those are in the impact video. So I think the impact video would be really good with showing some more scenarios as to how people connect. So I'm not sure if that really answered your question, but and if anybody else has any feedback, please feel free.
I can just mention some experience.
Yes.
For the first while, we just met and had coffee, but then as we started making stuff, mainly for personal use, I found that there was a lot more, I guess, camaraderie because we weren't necessarily talking about serious stuff.
Right.
So I can't remember if it's the president of Men's Canada, but talked about working side by side, shoulder to shoulder. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like when you're working with somebody side by side, you can, start to have some communication, and that makes people feel safe enough that you can actually then go face to face.
Right.
Um, I think what scares some people off is going face to face too soon. So having a shed or a place that you can actually do something is a benefit, but that can take time.
Right. Yeah, no, that's excellent. Thanks for feeding that back. I mentioned earlier that Coquitlam is going to just starting a project for to make 250 fish. Um, I mean, in the Lower Mainland, it's quite a challenge sometimes to find space. So Coquitlam Shed is very fortunate that there's the Red Door Society is supporting our shed. And it's really the size of a two-car garage, even a bit smaller. And but we've got a lot of equipment in there. Some have been purchased used, some have been donated. And we're going to have 3 or 4 or 5 people in that small shed doing these fish. So that'll be shoulder to shoulder for sure. But one thing is really good there, they have a can of cookies. So cookies are always kind of nice to have. And someone brings along and fills up the bin of cookies. All right, good. It's my turn next time, but nobody really says that. It just happens.
That's a great example. So in Coquitlam, is the partnership with the Red Door Housing Society?
Yeah, that's right. It's on the Red Door Housing Society. The one in Port Moody is
Yep.
fortunate enough. They're right at the museum. They're on the museum grounds. Now, there's some synergy there because if the museum needs any work done, Well, we're right there. So we go over. The last meeting we were there last week. Someone from the museum came over and says, "Oh, we've got these kids in, and they're having a group session, and the lights are out in the washroom. So can you guys come over and change it?" It wasn't just changing a simple bulb. It was some other issue there. So we're there to help, and there's a lot of projects in the community and hospice and share and other places that we've been involved with. So it's a very exciting time, and it gives people a sense of worth, right? Helping out.
It's grassroots community development. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just while we're waiting, I was up in Vanderhoof earlier in the spring, and I mean that's on the other side of the shed, where the other side of the spectrum, where they got a grant, and they bought a building, and now they have a thrift shop, they have a little barber shop in there. They they get donated, for example, appliances. So they got a little cell where they're, or a little workbench where they're fixing appliances, and then they sell them, or they donate them to needy families. And there's a bunch of other things that goes on there. So it's really heartwarming to be part of that.
It's great. So I have another question from Lauren. So she's asking what or how is the member selection process and if there is a cost to join?
Well, member selection, usually we're just hanging out and somebody walks in and says, "Oh, I heard about the men's shed." And so I said, "Well, come on in and grab a coffee," and then we chat up. And um, if they feel like they want to join, then, or they can come for 2 or 3 sessions and make sure it's a fit. And if they feel they want to join, then yeah, there's usually a minimal fee depending on which one. For example, Port Moody is $20 a year uh, just to be a part of the shed, because there's things that happen. Plus, or it's $60 a year if you want to use the equipment. So but there's really no barrier to financial. If there is an issue where somebody is financially stressed, then, quietly there could be some discussion and some help or assistance in that area. So, um, yeah, each shed kind of sets its own. There's no mandate as to, you got to charge this, or you don't have to charge that, or so on. But it's up to the shed themselves. Also, a lot of the sheds, there's one shed that might do bicycle repair. There's another shed that might do like the woodworking. But it just seems like the woodworking is a natural fit for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be. In a couple of the sheds, there's CNC machines. They're automated routers that people have got grants, the sheds have got grants for. And it's an amazing tool to come up with and to get people involved. And then now we get people from other places saying, "Oh, can you make me a sign?" Or "Can you make me a little library for, say, Port Moody? And can you make the little library sign that goes on it?" So a whole bunch of different things. So it takes time to get established. So there's no real member selection. Um, so again, if this, I'm just reading the thing, depending on where this person is that wants to join, you could come and just chat with the president off to the side and just see what they can come up with. But we don't want the financial part to be a barrier. I hope that answers the question. If you have, I put my email up there, so if you have questions, you can email me directly as well. So if you want more specifics that you don't want to share here, that's fine.
Anybody else have any questions they want to ask? Can jump right in. Okay, so we're about 12:46 here. Okay. So I'll wrap up the session if nobody has any other questions they want to ask.
Well, thank you all very much for coming. The picture I have up here with the questions is at the Port Moody shed. They built another shed beside our small shed so that the museum could store some items in it. So they're out there working away. So anyway, it's another example. I'll get back to you, Lisa. Go ahead.
Okay, so for my official closing. So thank you, Curtis, for sharing and being part of our discussion today. So we hope everyone enjoyed the session. You will get a short survey that will pop up when you leave. And within a week, we'll send a follow-up email with the session recording and summary notes for today. And we welcome you, of course, to share this with your colleagues. And on a separate note, I just want to mention that the BC Centre for Palliative Care, we're opening up our Seed Grants program this Friday, November the 14th. The application is available on our website, and this grant is for program funding for community organizations. So if you're building a new program in community, we'd be more than happy to have a discussion with you and fund it. I will be sending out an email to those of you on my list, but I just wanted to call everyone's attention to that today. So again, the grant opens up on November the 14th. You can go to our website and get the information there, or you can follow up with me directly as I run the grant program. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending today. Thank you so much to Curtis for joining us today with this wonderfully informative session. Great work that you guys are doing. So proud to platform it for you today. And again, our grant program is coming up, so take a look at that. So we'll let everyone go, and thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great rest of the afternoon.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.